While most of you were sleeping, the global order just shifted again, and your bank account felt the tremor. You've probably seen the Asian guy on YouTube. He's great at reading news dumps and giving you the surface level noise. He spent his morning talking about tensions and volatility. But here's the truth. He doesn't know what I know. He isn't tracking the specific institutional flow and the backroom policy shifts that are actually moving the needle. He gives you the weather report. I am here to show you how to survive the storm. I'm going to give it to you straight and truthful. No fluff, no filler. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the most dangerous 48 hours in modern maritime history, the $38.7 trillion fiscal wall the U.S. just hit, and exactly how you need to move your money before the weekend is over. We aren't just talking about a bad market day. We are talking about the end of the globalized peace dividend. If you aren't paying attention now, you aren't just behind. You're a casualty. Let's talk about the smoke on the horizon. On February 28th, just 6 days ago, the United States and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury. This wasn't a warning shot. It was a massive, coordinated strike campaign that targeted the very brain of the Iranian regime. We've confirmed strikes on the Assembly of Experts and the Supreme National Security Council in Tehran. The objective wasn't just containment. It was a systematic degradation of their ability to project power. Since the operation began, over 4,000 munitions have been deployed, neutralizing roughly 300 Iranian missile launchers and 80% of their integrated air defense systems. But here is the detail the mainstream missed. The strikes on March 4th specifically targeted the underground IRGC drone manufacturing facilities in Isfahan. Why does that matter to you? Because those drones were the primary threat to the global energy supply. By hitting the manufacturing source, the U.S. and Israel are trying to ensure that when the Strait of Hormuz reopens, it stays open. But as of this morning, March 6th, the response from Tehran has been Operation True Promise 4, a wave of hundreds of ballistic missiles and drones targeting Israel, U.S. bases in Kuwait and Qatar, and even targeting civilian infrastructure in Dubai. We are now in a hot cycle of regional escalation that has effectively militarized the global supply chain. Yesterday, on March the 5th, the Joint Maritime Information Center confirmed a horrifying statistic. Transit through the Strait of Hormuz has almost completely stalled. Only 2 commercial cargo ships managed to transit the strait in the last 24 hours. That's going to affect your wallet. Think about that. This is the world's most critical energy artery. Normally, 20 million barrels of oil and 20% of the world's natural gas flow through that gap daily. Today, that flow is effectively zero. Major shipping lines, Maersk, CMA, CGM, and Hapag-Lloyd have officially suspended all transits. The IRGC has issued radio warnings stating that no vessel passage will be permitted, even if the U.S. Navy says the lanes are technically open. The P&I insurance providers removed all coverage as of March 5th. No insurance means no transit. Over 150 ships are currently anchored outside the strait, waiting for a security clearance that may not come for weeks. This is a de facto blockade, and it is the single biggest threat to the global economy since the 1970s energy crisis. Oil prices jumped 18.5% this week. As of yesterday's close, Brent crude hit $84 and WTI crossed $78. Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan are already saying, if this blockade in the strait isn't broken in the next 72 hours, oil will be at $120 to $150 a barrel by the end of March. Why does this hit you so hard? Because we were already struggling with sticky inflation. Headline CPI was sitting at 2.9% before a single shot was fired. A 10% rise in oil prices lifts headline inflation by roughly 35 basis points almost instantly. But here is the real value for you. Watch the refined product markets. ULSD and diesel just hit a 3-year high. Gasoline futures are at 22-month highs. Everything you buy, from the groceries in your fridge to the clothes on your back, travels on a diesel-powered truck. The geopolitical tax isn't just what you pay at the pump. It's a tax on every single calorie you consume. The mainstream media calls it seasonal volatility. I call it a structural energy seizure. And here is the part the Asian guy won't tell you, because it requires understanding American fiscal math. The U.S. government is trapped. Our national debt just crossed $38.7 trillion because interest rates are holding at a 3.5 to 3.65% range, the highest in decades. The cost to simply carry that debt has more than doubled since 2020. As of January 31st, the average interest rate on federal debt hit 3.35% and have already spent $427 billion on interest alone this fiscal year. The Fed is out of easy moves. If they cut rates to save the economy from a war recession, the dollar collapses as inflation goes to 6 or 7%. If they keep rates high to fight oil-driven inflation, the interest on our debt will eventually swallow the entire federal budget, forcing even more deficit spending. This is the debt trap. You are watching a slow-motion collision between geopolitical war and fiscal reality. The bond market is already pricing in a bear steepening of the curve, meaning they expect high rates to stay here for a very, very long time. Here's how you build a financial fortress in this March 6th reality. Don't panic, position, move into hard assets. In a world of falling currencies and rising wars, you want resilience over efficiency. This means physical commodities, energy sector value, stocks, and gold. JP Morgan is already forecasting gold to average $6,000 an ounce by the end of 2026 as central banks diversify away from the dollar. Fix your variable debt. Federal interest costs are skyrocketing. If you have any variable rate debt, credit cards, ARMs, or business lines, lock them in now. The low hire, low fire freeze in the labor market means your income might be static while your debt costs explode. Treasury inflation-protected securities, or TIPS, are your primary defense against a CPI spike. Use bond laddering to ensure you have liquidity as interest rates remain volatile. Focus on fragmentation winners. The global economy is splintering. Focus on reshoring hubs like Mexico, India, and U.S.-based defense and infrastructure that are insulated from the Persian Gulf chaos. Don't hold more cash than you need for 3 months. Your purchasing power is the primary target in this war. Protect it. The map is being redrawn, and most of you are still using the 2024 version. Don't be most people. I'm here every day to make sure you stay ahead of the signal and out of the noise. What happens in the Strait of Hormuz over the next 72 hours may determine your net worth in the next 6 months. You cannot afford to miss my next briefing. Subscribe to The Black Guy right now and hit that notification bell. I'm Marcus Macro, and until next time, follow the money or get left behind.